It is hour one of Jon and Jim. We are with you for the next 3 hours. We have a really good show lined up for you today, and there's a lot to get into, by the way. But let me just set this up. Ryan Lindley is San Diego State's offensive coordinator. Jim's already laughing at me. He will join us at 5:30 off the practice field. Bryce Miller wrote about San Diego's lack of pitching, which has reared its ugly head. He will join us coming up at 3:30. Aaron Goldsmith is the radio voice of the Seattle Mariners. I want his thoughts on the series. I also want his thoughts on Kevin Brown of the Orioles being suspended for nothing at all. Like, as a radio guy, as a broadcaster, his thoughts on what went on with Kevin Brown. But this is not only Jon and Jim like we've been doing for the last couple of years, Jim. It's day one of Jon and Jim in addition to San Diego Sports 760, in addition to the iHeartRadio app. We are live worldwide on YouTube.
Yes, we are live
Thanks
now.
to Jim Russell, by the way.
So, okay, before we start the show today, Jon is going to give me like an aneurysm because I'm trying to set everything up and he's like, what do I do? How do I do this? What do I do? And his like cord for his headphones are all tangled. His computer's not working.
Correct.
He's not set up his camera yet. He's freaking out, which is making me freak out.
Right.
And I'm trying to get everything going here because this is day one, but we got it going. We're underway. Hello to everybody on YouTube. Also on the radio as well. That's never going to change. We're just adding YouTube to the mix. So hello to our YouTube crowd. And if you're listening to us on radio and you want to watch us on YouTube, go search us out, Jon and Jim 760. And subscribe to the channel and watch us live. And you can watch us and listen to us multiple ways now.
You can, and you can find a link, by the way, if you're on social media, at Jon and Jim on Twitter. Jim's going to put that out, JONANDJIM. So, all right, let's get to this because there's a lot to get into. Obviously, this series coming up, all these series are critical for the Padres. The reality of the situation is the reality of the situation. They're 4 back with teams to jump over, with 49 games to play, and the schedule's not easy. I mean, Seattle's been very good. Arizona, we'll see. But the schedule isn't easy. But I think it all goes back to yesterday, and you can't get away from the Dodgers, and they've lost 3 of 4, of course, in the series, and that's over and done with. But Seth Lugo, and we talked about this yesterday, calling out the Dodgers. He said what they did was, quote-unquote, Bush League. Now, Bob Melvin said every team does it. Every single team does it. So the fact that Seth Lugo allowed 8 runs in the 4th inning, is that on him or is that on the Dodgers because he was tipping pitches and they shouldn't have done it? I mean, there's no way to look at this, Jim. This is silly stuff. It's on you. If you can't get the job done and there's a reason why, you got to figure out why you can't get the job done. But this is not Bush League. This is Major League Baseball. It's been going on for a century.
This is how I view yesterday and I view this series is you got your ass kicked again. And I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear anything was Bush League on the Dodgers' part. I don't want to hear anything of that nature because you did nothing about it on the field. You got once again tossed around by the Dodgers again. Nothing changed. And so when I see quotes like, "Oh, that's Bush League," and like, "Oh, this stealing signs," and you're upset. How about this? How about you go out and you beat the Dodgers and you win instead of every time you lose, it feels like there's an excuse. Oh, they're cheating. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did. Like, no. Go out there and win. I'm tired of these like excuses for why the Padres lost to the Dodgers in the regular season. Postseason last year was amazing. It was phenomenal. But at the same time, like, it gets sick. You're sick and tired of it when it happens every single year in the regular season.
For me, it just came off as Buck Showalter vibes from last year of him going, "Oh, well, we know what they're doing now." Okay, well, enlighten us. What were they doing? Well, I'm not going to mention. I'm just going to throw out blanket accusations with no proof or evidence whatsoever, and then I'm not going to even attempt to back them up. The same thing they did to Musgrove last year in the playoffs, where they just threw out accusations with no evidence or anything. They're just like, no, we're going to say it, so I'm just going to ride with it.
I mean, here's the truth of the matter. It's an 8-run inning in which 7 of 8 reach before Mookie Betts even gets to the plate. It's then a 3-ball count on Betts. You throw him a belt-high fastball that he hits out for a grand slam. It's like, what else would you expect of what transpired there. And by the way, if anyone had any indication, and if Seth Lugo was willing to talk about a postgame, then you're not going to call out your catcher at any point. And maybe they did. I don't know if the catcher, I don't know if Campusano visited at any point that inning. I don't know if Niebla came out at any point that inning. But when I hear Bob Melvin say postgame, every team does it. If the Padres were in the exact same spot with an opportunity to take advantage of the Dodgers and score 8 runs in an inning, how pissed would you be if they didn't take advantage of it? And they told Dave Roberts, by the way, this never happened in a million years, nor will it. But listen to how stupid this sounds. The Padres are at the plate. The first 2 guys get base hits. There's a tell on the Dodgers starting pitcher. Someone calls time. They look at Dave Roberts, and then they say that your pitcher's tipping. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Every team is looking for an advantage. The Dodgers took advantage of the Padres. That, to me, is fair and square.
100%. If the Padres were in the Dodgers situation and they didn't take advantage, then I'd have a bigger problem with that. 100%. So when I look at this series, I'm not going to think, oh, no, the Dodgers were stealing signs. Man, I'm so upset. No, I'm upset that they lost. I'm upset that Bob Melvin, didn't take out Seth Lugo, or at least have somebody go out there to talk to Lugo before they got to the situation they got to. That's what I'm upset about. And it's interesting that these quotes have come out from Seth Lugo when you get your ass handed to you. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You can't have it both ways.
I know you can't.
Because he said, he's like, I got to execute, but also what they're doing is Bush League. No. If you need to execute, you need to execute. Like, you had a 5-0 lead in the game. You had a 5-0 lead in the game that you lost. By the way, you had countless opportunities in the series, Jim. Did they not lead game 1 in the 8th inning that they lost and didn't use Josh Hader?
Yep. They didn't use Josh Hader one time in the series.
The entire 4-game series. And listen, we've advocated all along. Nobody's calling for me and you. We're not calling for Bob Melvin's job. That's not the point of what I'm about to say. But it is a fair criticism to look back in the series and say, could you have used Josh Hader in the 8th inning? Maybe there's some circumstances that prevent it. Mm-hmm. Could you have gone to Steven Wilson earlier? And maybe there's reasons why or why not. But those questions, and I heard people asking in postgame, I want to say AJ Cassavell may have asked it. Kevin may have asked it. Yeah. They're all fair questions is the point. Now, I'm not going to say Bob Melvin is the reason why, or they're 55-58 because of him. But in this whole mess of a season, you got to look in every crack and crevice to find out who's the culprit. And everyone's accountable for what has happened here.
They are. Everybody is. And to be okay with where they're at now at 3 games under 500 on August 8th and 4 games back of a wild card, I'm not okay with it.
Right.
I'm not. Now, this is all very numbing to me. It's a numbing feeling that where this team is at right now, how they are, it's hard for me to just have these blow-ups when they lose, because they've done this so many times this year. Until they get above 500, until they win 4 games in a row, to me, it's like I'm just waiting for that moment. I'm waiting for that moment, and I don't know if it's going to come. I mean, we're 3 months now into this year, this portion of a season, right? Mm-hmm. 3 months where they have been below 500.
Since May 10th.
Unbelievable. Am I throwing this whole season away right now? No, because guess what? Every team in front of them sucks. And they still have a chance to potentially back their way into this thing if they don't play good, consistent baseball here. They could play the same type of baseball they're playing with maybe 1 week of good play and back in. Because maybe because everyone in front of them is falling back. Maybe.
Your point's valid because, listen, how about this, Jim? Go pull up the American League wildcard standings right now. They get the Mariners tonight, and Aaron Goldsmith, the radio voice, will join us at 5 p.m. The Mariners are 8 games over 500. They're 3 games out of a playoff spot. If the Padres are in the American League, we'd be talking about 2024. If the Padres are in the American League, they wouldn't have added 1 piece at the deadline. The season would be over.
Yep.
We'd be talking about everything under the sun other than the Padres' playoff chances in the second half. To their benefit, where they literally luck out, is they're in the National League. And they're 3 games under, and they're 4 games out. The Mariners are 8 games over, and 3 games out. So you're right. I don't know if they will quote unquote back in, but to consider where they are and that they're still in it is really amazing. Because if they were in the American League, this thing's over.
It's done.
Completely over.
It's completely over. So with that being said, like they're still in it.
They're
It's
in
just
it.
because, but here's the thing though. Just because they're still in it doesn't mean you can't be upset with what you're seeing. Because I feel like there's a little like, hey, there's everything is okay because they're still in it. So there's no point in like being upset and complaining. No, that's not how this works. Yeah, it's a good thing they're still in it. Thank God the other teams in front of them suck. But doesn't change the fact that where they're at right now still pisses me off. And it should piss every other Padres fan off as well. 3 games under and 4 out of a wild card spot on August 8th. Like, that's unacceptable.
What did we say yesterday? Like when it kind of all set in, we're like, maybe this team just ain't it. There's 49 games left.
Yeah.
You have some of the most high-profile players in the sport. I'm talking about Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, Manny Machado, and Xander Bogaerts, and others, by the way. And they're the only team of the 30 that hasn't won more than 3 games in a row. Someone please explain that to me. They've played Kansas City. They've played Washington. They've played Pittsburgh, who's 5-1 against them. Now, they haven't played Oakland. But someone please explain to me how the San Diego Padres, who will draw 3.2 million fans and have the greatest fan base in the sport right now,
I know.
and sell out every game and have everyone in their corner, they don't get booed at home. Everyone is there for them. And they can't win 4 games in a row out of 113 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
how head scratching is that?
You almost said a bad word.
No, I didn't. I was going to say mind numbing.
Oh. I thought you say like
no.
Yeah.
Come on, Jim. You know me.
That's
Do I
right.
even curse off air? Sometimes, not a lot.
Honestly, you've probably cursed like 2-3 times.
On air, I've had to be.
You've cursed more than me on air.
Dumped
You curse
like 4
on air
times.
a lot.
But that
Yeah.
wasn't curses. I said things that I can't say on air.
You called me.
No, you cursed.
Yeah, you did.
I said things I can't say.
Yeah, curse words.
Curses. But here's the thing on the wrap-up
Swear
show.
words.
At night on the wrap-up
oh
show,
my God.
Jim is like a sailor.
Oh, I curse. I cuss a lot. On
But
the
I don't
wrap-up
really.
show.
I don't curse at all on the wrap-up show, do I?
No, you've cussed like maybe a couple times
When I get mad.
Yeah, so a lot of viewers that are watching this right now that are loyal to the wrap-up show and making their way over to Jon and Jim on YouTube, unfortunately, you won't be seeing me cuss at all on Jon and Jim here. So sorry about that.
Listen, someone in the chat, and if you're watching on YouTube on day one, thank you. And by the way, you can text us 70470 start it with team. Someone in the chat said, but what about what Jake said? And I don't know if we took that quote out of context or not, because I didn't hear him say it. And I don't even know if we talked about it on radio. I know we did on YouTube. That Jake Cronenworth, I saw it as like a backhanded way to be complimentary of the fan base, where in the comeback win, Brent, the other day when they scored 7 runs in the 8th inning, he was quoted post-game, and I'm now paraphrasing, and maybe Jim can say it better than I can. He basically said, man, we felt your energy in that comeback, and we need it more often. Wasn't that basically the premise? Not...
Wasn't it a response to like the Dodger fans though at Petco making noise for Dodgers players?
I don't fully know, and I didn't hear it. I just saw the quote. He was not trying to be he was praiseworthy of the Padres fans.
Absolutely,
just the way like, hey, we could use more of it. I'm now thinking, well, they could use more of you performing to get more behind you. What are you supposed to do? Stand and be on your feet when you're down 13-5?
Right.
Or down 8-5. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. Like, oh, Luis Campusano hit a home run in the 9th inning. Everyone should get on their feet and, be over the moon about it. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's a good thing for Luis Campusano, but you're still down by 6 runs,
Right. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
What's going on over there?
Well, there's a lot of things. You got to, you got to look at your phone. You got to look at the rundown. You got to look at YouTube. You got to look at can you even look at the radio?
So
John acts like he's on the space shuttle or something.
This isn't easy for me to do.
I know it isn't. And
now,
so
I'm not doing anything.
I know you aren't.
I'm just doing the show.
So my question for you, and you're going to say, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm gone.
No, I can't do this. I mean, maybe I'm going to need Brent's help because I don't know what I'm doing.
All you to do is just it's basically a solo wrap-up show.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
but this seems harder.
You're screwed.
Well, here's the thing. I have an idea.
Don't leave.
Don't ever go anywhere.
Don't ever go anywhere.
No wedding, no marriage, but you're going away in August for some reason.
Yeah, I am.
Why?
Because Aaron's family, they are selling their house of 30 years, and she wants to go home to her family home, like the house she grew up in, before they officially move out of it. Also, we're
Doesn't she
having
have pictures or something?
Okay, you know what? Also, we're having a like an engagement party because we haven't been able to see her East Coast family since we got engaged.
So kind of like a realignment, like, hey, we're going to try, like, we want to align the West Coast and the East Coast.
Not really.
Not necessarily.
Not
By the
necessarily,
way,
no.
I'm so excited to have JD Wicker on the show tomorrow. San Diego State's athletic director, JD Wicker, will join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. We'll get into
Programming, no.
I'll tell you, man, there's some things, and JD Wicker shot something down today on social media, and I'm glad he did it because he's saying there's people are running with some stuff. They're like, we've said this since day one, Jim. So much of this is behind closed doors with realignment. And then people run with things as if they know something. And that's what we've always cautioned. Like, you have to, you can theorize and you can present things and you can read source reporting. But if it's not coming straight from presidents and athletic directors, are you getting accurate information? And we'll talk about that later this hour. But JD Wicker will join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. I mean, what a week for fans of college athletics in the West. With what happened on Friday to the Pac-12.
Or are you saying, what a weekend for me?
Why? What was the weekend for? No, I don't think so. What do you mean?
Are you talking about conference realignment?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, what happened Friday with the Pac-12 isn't, I mean, yeah, it impacts everyone.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say it was like a good thing.
No.
Okay.
I'm saying, like, whoever would have envisioned, okay, anyone that grew up in San Diego or in Southern California or in the West, did you envision a day, oh, yeah, Pac-12 gone? Oh, yeah, sure. Pac-12 just ceasing to exist as we know it. Nobody envisioned that, right? Like, how much of a surprise did that catch everyone by? And now what does it mean for West Coast athletic programs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because as of right now, the new norm for West Coast power schools, right? Schools in the Power 5 conference
like
or
Big Ten.
It's like, okay, the only way you're going to survive now is if you travel across the country, which is, man, there's already been hasn't there already been one transfer from USC to decommit and go to Oregon? Or I thought I saw somewhere like there's already been some decommits places because of conference realignment.
Well, definitely Washington State, Oregon State, now that they're kind of on the outside looking in.
Right.
In the future.
Because of travel and like, hey, if you
they might not be in a power league.
Exactly. And if you go to a school, and this happens a lot, you go to a school because you want to, one, be close to your family, and two, be in a conference where the travel for your family to watch you play games isn't crazy. For all the Olympic sports, it's going to be completely chaos. For football, basketball, it's going to be a lot too. And so if you went to USC and you're like, all right, my family gets to watch me on the West Coast, obviously home games, duh, but the travel for them isn't going to be like this crazy travel because you'll go up to the Bay Area for Stanford, Cal. You'll go up to Oregon, Washington State. Utah is probably is the farthest you go. Arizona State. Now it's like every weekend. We're going to
State College.
We're going to Michigan. We're going to Ohio State. Like,
yeah, and
that's a lot of travel, man.
Here's the thing. And I don't know what happens with San Diego State. I don't know when the music stops, in this round of realignment, if San Diego State is still in the map. Who knows? And we'll talk to JD Wicker about it tomorrow at 5 p.m. But I did read and I did listen to what Brian Dutcher told John Rothstein, who covers college basketball. And Brian Dutcher has said this a number of times, that he believes there should be a level of regionality to college sports. And I believe personally that San Diego State may be able to take advantage of that regionality, even if they're not in a Power 5 league. That's what I believe. Because SC is going to be playing in State College and San Diego State is going to be playing at Fresno State. So there's advantages and disadvantages both ways. And by the way, I also agree with what Brian Dutcher had to say about his basketball program, which is our program can thrive in any conference. Yeah. It's our program which we've built. It's our culture. I mean, look at Brady Hoke's football program. I mean, they've won a lot of games. So I think they're more selling the program right now than the league. And we'll see what happens related to conference realignment. Do we want to sneak in a call real quick? We got Bryce Miller on the other side.
Yes. You can.
All right, Dave. you're going to be our first ever caller with our show being streamed as well on YouTube. Dave, you're on with Jon and Jim, and thanks for calling in.
I am so touched and honored, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell you, and Jimmy, I was watching yesterday talk about that infamous day with Pagan.
Yes.
Comparing it to what happened to Seth Lugo. I was thinking about you
I got
when that
flashbacks.
happened. I said, man, what would Jimmy Russell do in this game?
Yeah.
So go for it, Bubba.
What do you got?
Can you guys get the commissioner of the Mountain West on tomorrow or soon? I think she holds the key to a lot. There's a lot of questions that are pertinent to her at this point, and what the plan should be, might be, could be with the Mountain West. And I think that would be a fascinating interview to really delve into her. And I do no hold barred. I would just get right down to the nitty gritty. Let's see if we can get Gloria on.
Dave, we
Thanks for the
appreciate
call,
it.
man.
We had her on 2 weeks ago in Vegas.
Yeah.
We'll have
Before all
JD
hell broke
tomorrow. I
loose.
mean, I'll make the request. Now, I just don't know if this is the time or not with what's going on in Oregon State, Washington State, Pac-4.
And we have JD Wicker on tomorrow.
He can help answer some questions tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He will join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. All right, we're just getting started on Jon and Jim. On the other side, Bryce Miller delving into the Padres pitching issues in the absence of Joe Musgrove. Aaron Goldsmith, he will join us, voice the Mariners at 5 p.m. San Diego State's offensive coordinator Ryan Lindley will join us at 5:30. Also on the other side, we'll tell you about 1 million ticket giveaways we have today. Stay with us. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Bryce Miller, columnist for the UT, will join us in just a moment. Do want to remind our listeners and viewers on YouTube, we've got ticket giveaways all day long. Tickets to see Dierks Bentley, Godsmack, Smashing Pumpkins be listening. We'll give away tickets between now and 4 p.m. How about that? We'll give away a pair of tickets between now and 4 p.m. It's always great to catch up with Bryce Miller, columnist for the UT. He's written here over the last 24 hours about these pitching struggles. I mean, it was really apparent this weekend against the Dodgers. Padres scored. I think they scored like 22 runs in the series, but they allowed a ton of runs in this 4-game set. And the headline of the column is that the Dodgers exposed the Padres' pitching problems in back-to-back routes. So, Bryce, we always appreciate your time. I mean, is it deja vu all over again, like 2021 when they ran out of starting pitching with the situations going on with Musgrove and Waka, or not?
Well, I think it's fair to say at least there's concern that it could turn into that, because there's no guarantee Musgrove even comes back this season. All we've been told is kind of a hazy timeline of at least 3 weeks, and kind of concerning generalizations like, we're not ruling him out this season though, which makes you think, oh, he could miss the rest of the season. And then, until a guy is back with Michael Waka, you just don't know. I mean, it seems like when he threw in a rehab assignment in El Paso, looked pretty good, I guess. But you never know. Things can come up. There are setbacks. It can be 1 step forward, 2 steps back. He's not somebody you can depend on in that rotation in terms of Michael Waka until he's back, until he shows he can throw, until he shows he can eat the kind of innings at this point in the season that they need. So those two in particular really exposed the Padres in terms of pitching depth, because you can't win games if Rich Hill gives up 6 runs in 3 innings. You can't dig yourself out of that kind of a hole when you're talking about an offense that's been inconsistent all season. You get 3 innings there, and it probably forces Bob Melvin to be a little more cautious on Seth Lugo in that 4th inning, knowing that with Nick Martinez, you basically have a bullpen game bookended on the other side today. That 3-day period, those 3 games and those results shows you kind of the corner they're in terms of pitching, and why it's so critical that they get back a healthy Joe Musgrove, and if they're lucky, make sure that Michael Waka can be part of that equation too.
Bryce, what did you make of Seth Lugo's comments yesterday about potentially the Dodgers stealing pitches or tipping? He was tipping pitches, and he called it Bush League. Well, what did you make of that?
Well, just to give a little more context there, Kevin Acey, my colleague at the UT, is the one who asked all those questions and brought that topic up, and others stood around and kind of soaked up the conversation that Kevin directed. But it had become pretty clear by the time he'd come back in the clubhouse, he being Seth Lugo, and looking at tape or film or whatever they were looking at, that he felt like he had both tipped pitches, and the Dodgers were looking for advantages there. There were questions about pitch com. There were questions about grips. The Dodgers had a runner at second base throughout much of that inning when there was a lot of damage, somebody in position to have an idea of what they were going to do. The Dodgers, I know Jeff Sanders on our staff asked Mookie Betts, who kind of rolled his eyes at that, thought that they were taking advantage there. But Lugo clearly thought they did. I thought that's baseball. If it's allowed, if you can do it, it's one of those. Seth Lugo's got to do a better job of not giving that stuff away if that's really what happened. But at the end of the day, it's they barreled up baseballs in that 4th inning in ways that they did not do at all in the first 3.
Bryce Miller's a columnist for the UT. He's with us right now, Jon and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. Is this a product to some extent, Bryce, of just bad timing when the trade deadline hits? They didn't necessarily know, I don't believe they knew, that Joe Musgrove was going to miss any amount of time. And they go out and they kind of, they clean up the edges with like Rich Hill, Scott Barlow. But maybe if they knew Musgrove was going to be out for any real period of time, they would have done more to address their pitching issues?
I think that's a really fair question. They clearly did not seem inclined to make the big spend and go out and make that big deal. And it might have been because of everything you just said, that they didn't realize the spot they were in, the spot they were about to be in terms of pitching. I mean, we saw what happened to Clevenger and Lamet in that postseason. You get a couple of starters in your rotation that you've depended on during the year. And if they're not suddenly not a part of that, seasons end because of that. And you're right. If that timing is a little bit different, maybe the Padres do something. Maybe they change course a little bit. There were some big names out there. We don't know who they chased, who they didn't. We just know the result. And the Rich Hill thing, let's just be honest, that felt like a reach. With the numbers, that felt like we didn't want to spend anything. We're hoping he's a veteran guy who's a good clubhouse presence that maybe eats a few innings, gets us over the hump in a couple of games. But that can't be a guy you're depending on moving forward as you're chasing a playoff spot and your game's back. So yeah, that timing is interesting, and I don't know the math on that, but I think it's fair to ask because I think it could have been a factor.
Bryce, what do you make of Xander Bogaerts' season? I mean, he's had, I think, 2 RBIs in the last month. He has 1 home run since July 5th. You got to hope that this is just like an outlier season, because if this is what Xander Bogaerts is going to be giving you here for the next, 5 years, it's going to be a disaster, right? I mean, this is hopefully just a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in his history that says this isn't a one-off, but track records change when they change. So is this the moment they'll look back on, like you said, 5 years from now, going, man, that was not the right timing when they picked him up? Not only that's just such a tough contract to understand, because they definitely didn't need another shortstop. They really didn't need another big contract. They didn't need to pay him the amount of money they did. They didn't need to make it 11 years. There's so many things that make you scratch your head about that deal in particular. Now, if it's a 5-year deal for Xander Bogaerts, a little more affordable, maybe some more incentive-based stuff, okay, that's another proven bat in the lineup. That's a leader. The investment makes sense, but now you're dropping that contract on top of the Machado, Tatis. It's so, potentially positioning themselves to see what they want to do with Juan Soto. Are they really going to truly try to be in this Ohtani chase? They were before. You can never rule anything out with this team at this point, even though the math seems bewildering how they could ever make something like that happen. But just for so many reasons, that particular contract is confusing. But they need the Xander Bogaerts prior to 2023, not the one they've gotten so far in 2023. But he gave away a lot of games when he was hurt earlier, and I think he's healthier. I think that looks like the case. I've seen him drive a lot of baseballs. There's a lot of warning track kind of power. But you're right. You're looking at 10 more years at a really significant investment, and that's got to be concerning.
Bryce, real quick before you go, we just talked about this to begin the show. Like, how do you even explain there are 30 big league teams, 29 of them have won 4 in a row this year, and then there are the Padres? I mean, are
you telling me the Royals have not won 4 in a row?
They have. Yeah. Oakland.
Oh, man.
Kansas
City.
They
were stuck on 2 forever.
And then they rattled off, what was it? It was like a number. It was like 5, 6, 7.
I think it was like a 7-game win streak recently from the Royals. So
that is the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard in my life, almost. Not to be,
I know.
It sounds like hyperbole, but of 30 teams, they're the only one. But you have to frame that in the context of who's on that team and the money and the contracts and the names. And just the inability to be even a little bit consistent in terms of winning 4 in a row. That's a stunner. That's one you can't get your head around.
We put man on the moon, and the Padres can't win 4 in a row. I mean, it's truly incredible. Bryce, enjoyed it as always. Again, it's in the UT today. Dodgers exposed the Padres' pitching problems in back-to-back routes. Bryce Miller, columnist for the Union Tribune. Bryce, we always appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, always, guys.
All right. Broadcasters come to the defense of Kevin Brown, the Baltimore Orioles broadcaster. We talked about it a little bit yesterday.
I can't wait to hear your rant coming up next.
Okay. Gary Cohen, television voice of the Mets, eviscerates the Orioles organization. If you haven't heard it, you will hear it next. We've got tickets to give away this hour, by the way. What do you want to do, Jim? Dirk Bentley, Godsmack, or Smashing Pumpkins next to give away?
Smashing Pumpkins.
We will give away Smashing Pumpkins tickets between now and 4 p.m. You're going to hear from Gary Cohen eviscerating the Orioles organization. That's next. By the way, another day in conference realignment and another rumor, right?
I love
and
rumors.
And this is every single day. So CBS Sports, Dennis Dodd at CBSSports.com put something out about San Diego State. I mean, look at the headline of this article.
I was like,
hold on.
what's going on here?
And it was immediately refuted by JD Wicker, who's going to join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. right here on Jon and Jim. The headline of this article: San Diego State fails an attempt to create new Power 5 conference with Pac-12 Mountain West and AAC members. You're like,
huh?
That San Diego State attempted to do that. And we'll get into this in the 4 o'clock hour. JD Wicker has come out very strongly against this.
Yeah.
And we'll read his statement coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. He even linked to the article on Twitter and said fake news, and disappointed in the number of absolute fake articles that get written these days. So we'll talk to JD Wicker tomorrow at 5 p.m. But again, this is what we've talked about with realignment. It occurs behind closed doors, and then all of a sudden, people just run with things. Like this isn't watching a football game and being like, "Hey, they can't run the football," and that's my observation. You can get so off course with this because you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors.
There's a lot of things with conference realignment that is confusing. I don't know if people fully understand it, and you get to a point what happened today with things being put out there because there are so many. I told you this weekend, I could not keep up because there were so many rumors, and that's probably my bad. I should have just picked one person
right
and followed that person alone. But of course, I follow the Thamels, the Canzanos, the Wilners, the Brett McMurphys, the Stuart Mendel. I follow them all. So seeing all of these people put out things, and they might be the same things that put out, but still, it is a lot of stuff happening at once that with conference realignment, just with the rumors that are spreading, it makes it confusing, man.
It does. And again, JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, will join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. We're going to give away Smashing Pumpkin tickets between now and 4 p.m., so do not go anywhere. Kevin Brown, do I even need to set it up? It's so ridiculous. Here's the basics on it, and everyone knows probably, or a lot of people know. Orioles announcer did a broadcast open where he illustrated the Orioles' lack of success against the Tampa Bay Rays. It was all factual. It was in the game notes, and it was put together by the production team. They were 0-15-1 in their last 16 series in Tampa. And that's all he said.
And he's one of your friends.
I've known him for 15 years. He's a very good friend. They'll be here next week. I'll do lunch with him. Hopefully he'll come on because hopefully he'll be able to talk about it next week. But so it's utter insanity. And if you listened or watched the clip, you'd be like, what am I even listening to? He's like, hey, the Orioles haven't won a series in Tampa since 2017. Now they have a chance to do that. All of a sudden, he mysteriously is off the air for 2 weeks.
What?
Because the Orioles owner was very sensitive, apparently, to this.
Soft.
So Awful Announcing and other media organizations caught wind of this, and everyone has literally lost their mind over this ridiculousness.
And it's not just people like me and you.
No.
It's the big boys. It's the Michael Kays. It's the
Chelsea Janes, Washington Post.
Gary Cohen, we'll hear from in a second.
This was picked up by national news outlets.
Yeah.
This is absurdity.
I don't think I've not heard one broadcaster out there that's talked about this.
It was I get the Orioles stance.
Not back, Kevin Brown here.
So if you don't know Gary Cohen, he doesn't mince words. And a lot of times New York broadcasters, they're going to be truthful to a fault.
Yes.
Okay. So Gary Cohen on SNY last night reacting to Kevin Brown's suspension for just stating facts on air is unbelievable. Take a listen. Tell us how you really feel, Gary. I mean, it's a very bad look. He's going to be back on the air, I think, in Seattle in 3 days. He hasn't been on the air since like July 23rd or 26th. Like, what? Because he said the Orioles haven't won a series in Tampa since 2017. Where's the, like, what's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah. I mean, and by the way, Gary Cohen was not the only to take,
No,
shots at the Orioles and their organization.
no, that good on him. Good on every other broadcaster out there defending Kevin Brown, because this is like a community. Like if you're a broadcaster in baseball
it's just
or
not
in sports,
right.
you're a community. And I had to watch the Kevin Brown thing multiple times, and I was wondering, I'm like, where did he go wrong? I was waiting for a slip up. I honestly was waiting for some type of slip up, and there was nothing.
Right.
It was just factual statements that were given to the production team by the Orioles PR department and to everybody else in the press box. So this owner, who's the owner of the Orioles?
Is it John Angelos still?
Who cares?
Peter Angelos?
He's an idiot. If you're getting this soft over that, I mean, dude, what are we doing here? Soft.
And
John.
And listen, I understand that, you may be a team employee, right? So there may be some things that they're not going to say on Orioles TV that they might say on Orioles Sports Talk Radio. We all understand that, right? But to be unable to state factual statements and do so in a very professional manner, that is way too far. Way too far.
Yeah.
All right, here's what I want to do right now. I want to give away tickets to see the Smashing Pumpkins at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's this Thursday, like 2 days from now. We have 2 free tickets. More info at Ticketmaster.com. Call 844-570-1360. Caller 7, they are yours. 844-570-1360. Pick up your phone and call right now. 1 pair of tickets right now to the Smashing Pumpkins North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That is this Thursday. More info at Ticketmaster.com. Again, the number to call, 844-570-1360. Much more on San Diego State and the rumor mill. Again, JD Wicker will join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Plus the wrap on the other side. Plus Aaron Goldsmith, voice of the Mariners at 5. San Diego State's offensive coordinator Ryan Lindley at 5:30. Hour 2, Jon and Jim next. Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2 of Jon and Jim. This hour, we will give away tickets to see Dierks Bentley at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Be listening for a chance to win those tickets. At 5 p.m., Aaron Goldsmith is on the show. He is the radio voice of the Seattle Mariners, and he will join us at 5 p.m. to preview Mariners-Padres, quick 2-game set that kicks off tonight in Seattle at 6:40. San Diego State's offensive coordinator Ryan Lindley off the practice field right around 5:30 tonight. We'll get into the Aztecs less than 3 weeks out from their opener. So we've got giveaways for you. We have great guests for you. J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, will join us tomorrow on the show at 5 p.m. We are live and streaming on YouTube right now for the first time ever. So in addition to San Diego Sports 760 and the iHeartRadio app, Jim, we are live streaming with a couple of issues, but overall it's going pretty well on YouTube.
Just a couple of technical difficulties, but hey, first day, you got to iron those things out. It's fine. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're on YouTube, and apologies for any of the technical difficulties that we are experiencing. But hey,
I
come
think
and join
they've
us.
been minor.
Minor.
We had one audio issue where the listeners or the viewers couldn't hear Gary Cohen.
I'll take minor issues.
Relatively minor.
Relatively. But go check us out. Jon and Jim 760 on YouTube. Come on and join us. You can also listen on the iHeartRadio app. You can watch us on YouTube, listen on the radio. There's now way too many ways to view us or listen to us. So use one of those and come and join us.
By the way, if you ever listen to us on podcasts, like wherever it is, right? TuneIn Radio, iTunes, where else? Spotify. We're all those places. Please leave a review as well. We really do appreciate those. So again, tickets to give away this hour. Right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Do you guys think the Padres will make the playoffs?
I'll say yes, because everyone around them sucks. I still think this team is gonna just back their way in, because every team around them and in front of them isn't good. It's not what I want to have. Obviously the postseason, I want that to happen, but I don't want them to just back in. I want them to get on a roll. I want them to play good baseball and then go into a potential postseason with some momentum behind them. And so far they haven't done that, but I'll say yes begrudgingly, I guess. I don't know.
Couple of things. I don't think they do back in. Let me explain why. They have 55 wins. And even Jim, who's not a math guy, can follow me here. Do we all agree they need 85? I mean, are they going to get in with less than 85 in your mind? Less than 85?
I don't see it.
So let's just say 85, which, by the way, could be well short. But let's just say 85. That means 30-19 to finish. That's not backing in. If they happen to go 30-19 to finish, they didn't back in. Now, maybe these other teams around them aren't very good. It's really hard for me to answer this. But based on everything I've seen and based on my stance at the trade deadline, I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I think 30-19 for a team that hasn't played 500 baseball at all this year is asking a lot. They might have to go better than 30-19, like 31-18 or 32-17. So I don't see it. I hope they prove me wrong. Next question.
Did Seth Lugo have a right to be mad with the Dodgers if he was the one tipping pitches?
No. Dude, if the Dodgers took advantage of you tipping pitches, that's what they're supposed to do. You got to fix it. And you didn't fix it. And maybe you didn't know it was happening, but then that's on everyone else around you to watch you and be like, okay, something's going on here. We need to fix this. And no one did. And maybe this was happening all too fast. I don't know. But to call the Dodgers being Bush League here, and I hate the Dodgers, okay? That being
I thought you were a huge fan.
No, not at all.
I thought you've been converted.
I'll never do a Dodgers wrap-up show.
Okay.
But with that being said, what are they supposed to do? Not look at you tipping pitches?
Where'd you get that Dodgers fitted?
Well, guess what? I'm not wearing it because people on YouTube can see me now. So,
no, he has no right to be mad. Literally none. This is the highest level of baseball. Everyone's looking at everything for any edge. That's the whole point of video rooms, essentially. So, no, he has no right to be mad. He was partially right when he said post game, I got to execute better. leave it there.
Yeah.
If there's something going on, take care of it behind closed doors and correct it, and don't do it publicly, and don't make the Dodgers aware. You still play them coming up. So no, he's got no right to be mad. They got beat last night. Fair and square. They got beat. He got beat. Next question.
Will Xander Bogaerts live up to his contract with the Padres?
I'm gonna say no, and not because I think he's gonna have years like this every single year, but I say no because living up to that contract means like you're top 5 MVP candidate. I feel like you make that much money, you're one of the top paid shortstops in baseball. You gotta make multiple All-Star games. You gotta be top 10 player. Like you have to be like the Xander Bogaerts that made the All-Star team and over 100 RBIs, hitting 300 plus every single year for at least the first like 4 or 5 years. I don't see that. I don't think it's going to be a complete disaster of a contract, but I don't think he's going to live up to that contract, if you get what I'm saying.
100%. I agree completely with you. I don't see it. I mean, at 280, you're going to have to be a World Series champion and a 6-time All-Star. Now, he could be a World Series champion here.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to be a key contributor on a World Series champion? He could be. I mean, he's got 2 rings. He's been a contributor before. He's had huge seasons before. We mentioned it last night. I think he had a 119 RBI season with Boston. He's got 37 with 49 games to play. He may not reach 50 RBIs this year.
2 in a month. 2 RBIs in a month.
This I know. If year one is any indicator, it's going to be a terrible deal. I'm willing to depart from year one. I'm willing to dismiss year one and give him the benefit of the doubt. But even with me saying that, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for him to live up to it. Next question.
Guys, what's going to happen next in the realignment saga?
Dude.
Good question.
I think the ACC makes a move.
It's more of a saga because it's long and drawn out, not because it's like compelling.
Exactly.
This is like Star Wars.
Shut your mouth.
No. It's actually not.
Realignment in a conference world far, far away.
At least you got that part right.
You like that?
Yeah, the analogies are good there.
Yeah.
I think the ACC makes a move because they feel left out of doing stuff.
Right.
The rumors today about now Cal and Stanford, and then of all teams, SMU,
right,
instead of San Diego State. But if you're San Diego State, like
the
ACC,
far away.
It's very far away. I'm going to say the next move is a move made by the ACC. What it is, I have no freaking clue.
I think you're onto something. And to your point, who knows? And that's the one thing we've been very careful with. Like, I don't recall ever in this whole 13-month, 14-month saga, as we've talked about it as it pertains to San Diego State, being like, this will happen. Like, I correct me if I'm wrong. Someone listening, someone watching, 70470, start it with team or put it in the chat. I don't recall either of us ever doing that. And then you get this today from Dennis Dodd, which was quickly refuted. Is that the right word?
Refuted?
Yeah. By J.D. Wicker, who will join us tomorrow, San Diego State's athletic director. Dennis Dodd, here's the headline. San Diego State fails in attempt to create new Power 5 conference with Pac-12, Mountain West, and AAC members. And it goes on to say this was an initiative led by San Diego State, and San Diego State's president was leading the push to do this, okay? But here's the thing. It's not true. How do I know it? Because John David Wicker, who's the athletic director at San Diego State, says so and issued a statement to CBS Sports saying this. The first 2 paragraphs of this article contain numerous false or misleading statements. San Diego State has been actively involved in conference realignment discussions before and after the latest round of Pac-12 defections. However, San Diego State has not sought to create a new conference or seek A5 status. That would be what I'd call Power 5 status for a new conference. San Diego State has had no communication with the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, nor any of its member institutions. San Diego State continues to be an active participant with the Mountain West Conference as the conference assesses the best path forward during this turbulent time in our industry. So what do you make of this? And really what has played out, if you follow this thing on social media, Jim, or on YouTube, or I mean, this stuff happens every single day with realignment.
Well, somebody got fed some bad information, and that somebody's Dennis Dodd.
Right.
And how I view this is the same way I viewed it since the beginning. If you are getting upset or think that JD Wicker has this magical power to take San Diego State without any invitation from a Power 5 and plop them in a Power 5 conference, you don't understand. JD and San Diego State, what they're doing is they're positioning themselves to get an invite from a Power 5 league.
Mm-hmm.
Have they talked to other schools and conferences? I'm sure there's been discussions. I'm sure there's been a bunch of things talked behind closed doors and whatever the case may be to try to get into a Power 5, and especially with the Pac-12 now just dying. I'm sure there's a lot of like, hey, what about this? What about this? And we saw a report from either Pete Thamel or I forget who it was about the potential of the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference merging of some sorts, right?
Yeah, Mark Ziegler's written about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you think that JD Wicker has this magical power to all of a sudden make all this stuff happen, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And by the way, JD Wicker with us over portions of the last year was very transparent. I always say this. Adela De La Torre has been transparent with this. He has told us previously during the process they were in communication with the Pac-12, which may or may not exist moving forward. They have been in communication with the Big 12. Like this wasn't done like in the cloak of darkness. So we've discussed that a lot. Now, to your point, I don't know how this all plays out. Here's the thing. To your point about, J.D. Wicker doesn't have the power to put San Diego State in a Power 5 league. Cal, Berkeley, and Stanford right now are on the outside looking in. Now, that may change. But Stanford, I don't need to go sell anyone at Stanford. People are aware of the prominence of the university. They've also had success previously in football and men's basketball. Maybe it's been a while. It has been a while. But right now, Stanford is on the outside looking in. Cal is on the outside looking in. It's a weird system. It just is. And man, you can knock and knock and knock, and it's hard to get someone to open that door. I've said this repeatedly and will continue to say this no matter what happens in the future with San Diego State. They've done it all right. They've done it the right way. They've won in football. They've won in basketball. They've built a football stadium, something the San Diego Chargers couldn't do. They got done. They're building a brand new campus. Their athletic profile continues to grow. They're one of the top 10 most applied to schools in the country. What else do you want them to do? But they can't force. This isn't the NFL where you go 11-6 and you make the postseason. Nobody can say when you're 11-6 in the NFL, it's not good enough. But in college sports, you go 11-1. They say it's not good enough. You can't be in our playoff. You do whatever you do in men's basketball. It's not good enough. You're a 10 seed, not an 8 seed, right? So there's all these things that are used to kind of keep the system the way it is. I think eventually San Diego State is going to break through. I really do feel that way. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you.
Am I upset that they're still in the Mountain West Conference? Like, yeah, I want them to be in a Power 5. Am I upset with what happened with the Pac-12? Absolutely. I think that if the Pac-12 remain together, we're probably talking about San Diego State in the Pac-12 this week, and JD Wicker's coming on tomorrow with us to talk about how that all came about. Instead, money was the driving force in this whole thing. Shocker. And it destroyed the Pac-12. And that's what happened. The TV networks destroyed an entire Power 5 conference. Like, think about that. Fox and ESPN and TV deals and TV rights and money, that destroyed an entire conference. Now, are they the main reason why the conference was destroyed? No. George Claw.
We'll rarely say his name again. Probably,
rarely.
Unfortunately.
I have to get it out of my system now.
Yep.
That dude also played a huge role in killing off an entire conference. So it's not just the networks and the money. They play a huge role in it.
Previous commissioner.
Previous Larry Scott as well.
Decision. It's a decade's worth. They had the most lucrative TV deal in the history of college athletics in 2011, and then they ceased to exist potentially at the end of that exact TV deal.
Right.
That's a series of missteps.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember who said it, but somebody nationally at the end of last week brought up the point that it was the Pac-12's own fault because they got too into themselves to where they had an opportunity to bring in some other schools, but they didn't think those schools were going to be good enough for them. And then they just let them go to other conferences instead of just bringing them in because they thought that they had a much higher opinion of themselves than the rest of the country actually did.
They had opportunities. I mean, there's no question about it. The Big 12 was left for dead, so to speak, when Texas and Oklahoma left. There were 8 schools in the Big 12. They could have picked, had their pick of the litter. They could have taken 2. It would have been down to 6. It would have been on life support. They elected not to, but that was in a different world. SC was in the league. SC didn't want to expand. Well, guess what? A year later, they were blindsided by SC. And then for whatever reason, and I don't know if we'll ever know, if we'll ever get to the bottom on this, Jim, they didn't expand the Pac-12 after losing SC and UCLA. Right? It was all, we're going to get a TV deal done. We're going to sign our grant of rights. Then we're going to expand.
They
But
did it backwards.
yeah, so it was a number of things. And we could go back and cry over spilled milk. But at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen next. And what impact it's going to have on San Diego State. I do know this, it's not finished. And even when it does finish for now, like the here and now, like 2023, 2024, there'll be another round of it because the TV deals will come up and the game will change and the goalposts will be moved and schools will be left on the inside or left on the outside. But we'll talk to JD Wicker tomorrow at 5 p.m. about it. But again, I stand by everything I've said from the day I found out about SC and UCLA. I think San Diego State will be better positioned as a result of those moves. I still feel that way. Maybe as a circuitous route to where they're ultimately going. And we don't know. We don't even know what's next, to be honest.
We don't. But just because they're not in a Power 5 conference right now and they're still in the Mountain West doesn't mean oh crap, I guess we better stop playing sports.
No, not at all.
I guess we better stop playing football. We better stop playing basketball, even though we've been in the national championship game this past year. All of our Olympic sports, we better stop doing that. By the way, I didn't even think about this. Isn't their soccer team in the Pac-12
And lacrosse. So they'll have to find a new home.
Okay.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, think about Stanford and Cal, Oregon State, Washington State.
So the Pac-12 blowing up does affect San Diego State.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's not just about basketball and football. Yes, those are the driving forces in revenue for your athletic program, but the Olympic sports, they play a role in it as well. And there's a lot of kids that are wondering about what's going to happen now. We were in the Pac-12. Now the Pac-12 is dead.
It's a great point. The whole Conference of Champions was predicated more on Olympic sports recently than football and basketball. Their Olympic sports were best in class, and now just poof.
Yeah.
I mean, best in class Olympic sports. Some of those schools, by the way, UCLA and USC, now playing schools in the Midwest. Stanford and Cal, we don't know where they're playing games or who their opponents are going to be. That's the dirty little secret of it all. Everyone wants to talk about football. I think basketball plays a role, but everyone wants to talk about football. But at the end of the day, it's more than just football student athletes. We'll talk to JD Wicker about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
About the impact to you. That's a great question. I hadn't even gone down that rabbit hole as of yet. We'll ask them, what does this mean for your men's soccer program? What does this mean for your lacrosse program?
Right, because they matter. They absolutely matter. They might not be the driving force in revenue, but they matter for sure. And I'm sure JD Wicker, that's going to be, one of his main priorities here, along with helping get this entire athletic department into a Power 5. What about the
Right.
What's going to happen with them?
I always find it amazing. These same texts always roll in, and some people are pro and some people are anti. And the same this 619 that just came in, Jim, there's always harps on the same thing.
Yes.
San Diego State doesn't have a football brand. What are they? You can say whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's what else can they do? I mean, they win, they build, they invest. And you may not like them. That's fine, right? I can't convince you to like San Diego State. And I'm not going to make the case every single time someone brings up, oh, well, they went 7-6 in football last year. Well, guess what? Rutgers went 1-11. No, Colorado did. Colorado went 1-11.
And what San Diego State has proven, at least, hey, in basketball, we can make a national championship game and we can win a national championship.
Yes, they literally proved that.
Football, it's going to be harder, but it's going to be very interesting once the college football playoff expands here with one less Power 5 conference league. How is that going to work for the group of 5? Like, what is that going to entail as far as slots go?
There'll be
into the
one
college
spot. Right now, there's 6 spots
Yeah.
for 6 champions. But now that the Pac-12, if it ceases to exist,
I know.
they'll just make it 5
Okay.
spots
All right.
for the 4 Power 4, and then the
Yeah.
best of the rest is my guess. But yeah, you can still get there. That expanded playoff is going to present an opportunity for San Diego State football, a little bit like the NCAA tournament has presented opportunities, of course, for Brian Dutcher and Steve Fisher and the men's basketball program for the last 2 decades. On the other side, let's shift gears back to Padres Mariners. Let's get you ready for a critical series for the Padres tonight in Seattle. Plus, later this hour, your chance to win tickets to see Dirk Bentley. Let's go with Dirk Bentley at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Goldsmith, radio voice of the Mariners at 5. Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, around 5:30. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Radio coming up in about 15 minutes. Your chance to win tickets to see Dierks Bentley. 5 o'clock, Aaron Goldsmith, radio announcer for the Seattle Mariners, will join us. And then Ryan Lindley, offensive coordinator for the Aztecs, he will join us coming up at 5:30. Now, this is the, Mariners Padres Vetter Cup that you just talked about.
Yeah, the Vetter Cup.
Now, what's interesting here is they've all of a sudden, they play each other a lot, right? Because of this, basically they get
they do
locked up. Yeah, they have. The last 5 years they've met.
Well,
because they lock horns in interleague.
It's the interleague rivalry, John.
Well, now every team's going to meet everyone, but the previous 4 years, it wasn't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was their quote-unquote natural rival. It made no sense. But, Padres have played the Mariners really well in recent years. They're 15-8 since 2018. And they're going to Seattle. This is not exactly like the easy, ideal pitching matchup. Nick Martinez, Logan Gilbert. They're, again, kind of in a bullpen day, which would be basically a third consecutive bullpen day when you think about it, because Rich Hill didn't give him innings. Seth Lugo didn't give him innings. I think the plan today with Martinez was 3 or 4 innings. Yeah. Logan Gilbert's had a nice year. So I think the story heading into this 2-game series is like what Bryce Miller told us and what he wrote about in his column. Are they going to be able to effectively pitch their way through this without Musgrove, without Waka? And tonight's a perfect indication. Can Martinez match Gilbert? That's not an easy task.
This is a huge road trip for them because you're going to Arizona after this, a team that's in front of you for how much longer? It could be over this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Padres could finally get out of the 4th place in the National League West. They've been, only been 4th place, John. It's been at least 3 months they've been in 4th place.
Yeah, probably since they fell under 500.
Because Arizona came out hot.
Yeah, San Francisco's been better than them for most of the year.
The Dodgers are the Dodgers.
Yep.
The Giants actually played really good. They had a stretch there where you're like, what the hell is the Giants doing? And they played really good baseball, and they've kind of maintained that. But the Padres have been in 4th place for the longest freaking time.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, if you're looking at standings here, they're 2 games back of Arizona now. So huge road trip here to just finally maybe get out of the 4th place, I guess, not gutter, but it feels like they've been close to the bottom for the entire season.
Sure.
They're closer to last place than they are first place in the NL West.
Right. I mean, how many games out are they? 11?
They're 11 games out. The Rockies are 21 and a half.
Right. So they're 10 and a half games out of last place, but 11 games out of first place.
Is that good?
No, I mean, obviously this is like you said earlier, and like we've said for months now, it's like nobody expected this, but if there's any, and I hate to put it this way, but there actually is a silver lining. Like what I said earlier, the difference between the Mariners and the Padres is if the Padres were in the American League, their season would be over.
Done.
The American League has been so much better than the National League with its wild card contenders. Seattle right now enters tonight. Let me get this right. They're 60-52. They're 8 games over 500. They're not in a playoff spot. They're 3 games out. They're only 1 game better to the postseason than San Diego, and the Padres are 55-58. And the idea that, they've been good on the road and, maybe they could take advantage of Arizona and Seattle. Well, Arizona and Seattle are playing for the exact same thing. Yeah, Arizona's struggling, but they're trying to get in. Seattle's been red hot. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get in.
Arizona bought at the deadline.
Right.
Tommy Pham and some random reliever.
Right.
So they think they have a chance. Now, I don't think they're going to make it. They've been one of the worst teams in baseball in the second half.
Right. I agree with you.
But these games are still so important. And we talked about this after last week after they played. Who did they play?
Who did they play last week?
Before the Dodgers. I'm blanking hard on it. They played a bad team. The Rockies. Yeah.
What'd they do in that series?
They you don't remember the first game of that series?
Oh, they took 2 out of 3.
It took 2 out of 3.
Lost in extra innings in game 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 10th inning. Jim on YouTube was like, they'll definitely score a run here. I guarantee it. They didn't score.
I may have jinxed them.
Yeah.
Even though jinxes aren't real, but I may have jinxed them.
But you do it all the time.
Exactly. The schedule for the Padres for the next month plus.
I know. It's all teams vying for the postseason.
It's ridiculous. Even you have a series at the end of this month against the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. Yes, the Cardinals aren't going to go to the playoffs. Yes, they're not fighting. They're not playing for anything. But it's still a place where it's tough to play.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to start playing some good baseball here.
Ooh, I like that.
And you like that
Oh, I
analysis?
like that. Did you guys hear that?
For everybody on YouTube, everybody listening in their cars right now or on the iHeartRadio app.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
The team that's 3 games under 500,
Right. Here we
4
go.
games out of a playoff spot with 49 to play is going to have to start playing, what'd you call it? Good baseball? Good
baseball.
So win more than lose.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Maybe go 30-19 to finish to have a shot.
30-19. That's going to be very tough.
But not impossible.
Not impossible. It's because everyone around them is doing so poorly that you get these, goalposts are moving in.
Yep.
They're not moving away. They're moving in.
And again, if any team is due, if the other 29 teams have all won 4 or more this year and the Padres haven't, to me that means they are somewhat due. I don't know if they're going to benefit from that or not. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's as simple as they're due, therefore they're going to rattle off 5 in a row or 10 of 12 and all of a sudden get into playoff positioning.
Yeah, we'll see.
But tonight and this 2-game series in Seattle, there's no doubt about it. We said it last night. I still feel this way. There's going to be a point of no return. I don't know. Is it 6 out of the wild card? Is it 7? It's one or the other. It's not more than that. You cannot convince me it's more than that. You cannot convince me they can fall 8 out and make the postseason. I don't think you can convince me they can fall 7 out and make the postseason. Would you agree with that? If they are 7 games out one day this year of the postseason, will they make the postseason? I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
What about 6? Can you be convinced that? You see my point?
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is. It's probably 5. They fall more than 5 games back.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. Because guess what, John? If they play good baseball, then they have a shot to make the postseason.
The good baseball shot.
Yeah, the good and in the chat,
it
says good analysis, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, that was very good.
I appreciate that.
Really good analysis.
Yeah.
This is what you've been missing. But if you haven't been watching us, you've just been listening to us. This is what you've been missing. Missing.
Would you say
I don't missing?
Missing?
I'm an idiot.
Just wait till I start sneezing.
Oh my god.
Then it's gonna be a disaster.
Dude.
Wait till train wreck radio.
That could be a disaster.
I love you. Yeah. Chew. LOL. Ha 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 ha.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's set the stage for the next hour and a half or so here on Jon and Jim. On the other side, we're going to give away tickets to see Dirk Bentley at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. All right, this is August 18th. It's coming up. More info at Ticketmaster.com. Call right now. Call right now if you want your chance to win those tickets. You need to play Trainwreck Radio. So the number to call is 844-570-1360. First 2 callers will be our contestants for Trainwreck Radio. Now at 5 o'clock, Aaron Goldsmith, who's a lot like Kevin Brown. I know everyone that works in the major leagues. I just don't work in the major leagues. Have you noticed that?
Wait.
I worked with Aaron in AAA. I work with Kevin Brown in AAA. I work with Jason Benetti in AAA. I work with John Sadak in AAA. I mean, I work with everyone in the big leagues. But I'm with you. Okay.
You're with me in a studio in San Diego, on YouTube, on radio. You can hear us pretty much all but down the coast.
Correct. So I do YouTube with you and radio.
Here?
I have no idea. We could ask Aaron that question. So Aaron Goldsmith, voice of the Mariners, will get us ready for the series coming up at 5 p.m. Then Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, as the Aztecs come off the practice field, he will join us this afternoon. He's scheduled to join us tonight around 5:30 p.m. Again, call right now if you want those tickets. A pair of tickets. See Dirk Bentley. The number to call is 844-570-1360. Let's do some Trainwreck Radio. That's next. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Aaron Goldsmith is going to join us coming up at 5 p.m. Again, we'll talk about the Mariners, the position they are in, the Padres, the position they are in. 2-game set up in Seattle to kick off this road trip for the Padres. Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, at 5:30. By the way, we will be at Fan Fest, Snapdragon Stadium, Saturday from 4 to 6, broadcasting live. We will talk, by the way, to Brady Hoke on Saturday before his team scrimmages at Snapdragon Stadium. That's a free event. You need tickets at goaztecs.com, but that's a free event Saturday. Looking forward to seeing Aztec fans Saturday, late afternoon, Snapdragon Stadium from 4 to 6 p.m. Jon and Jim broadcasting live.
Yes. That should be fun. I can't wait for that.
Now, is that going to be on YouTube? Look at that.
I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
I'm going to say no to that because, yeah, just no.
Okay. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, maybe.
But
we'll see.
yeah, looking forward to it. That'll be Saturday, 2 weeks out. San Diego State's opener against Ohio is Saturday, August 26th at 4 o'clock. You can hear it right here. San Diego Sports 760 pregame coverage will begin at 2 p.m. Football back. Like all the boardroom discussion and the realignment and the closed door discussion. Like, remember, they have like players and quarterbacks and teams. So, like, when we talk to Ryan Lindley at 5:30, we'll ask about the San Diego State offense under Jalen Maiden, how it's looked the first 10 days or so of fall camp. So I'm excited. I really am for college football in general. Week 0, August 26th. Like, that's coming quick.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
What?
Hopefully opening day isn't 155 degrees outside.
Oh, look at you, man. Jim literally jinxes everything, Brent. Brent is shaking his head.
Did I just ruin it?
Are you going to start bitching about canopies now?
No, I'm not doing that. I am just simply stating, I hope for everybody's sake, it is not 1,000,000 degrees outside and a once in a generation, I feel like, day happened in San Diego on the worst possible day.
Right. Isn't it funny? Like, the weather's been spectacular.
Oh, my God.
Gorgeous July and August.
Now, is it raining outside right now?
Maybe not
Not
today.
now, it was.
What the heck? What?
But here's the thing. I don't even want to get into that. Let's play. Let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Sean and we have Cody. Sean, you called in first. You have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with Jon.
All right, Sean. Right? Is it Sean?
Jim.
Correct.
Just stop talking.
Wait, no,
Okay.
wait. So Sean just.
Sean was with Jon.
Okay, that's what I meant. Sean's
Okay.
with Jon.
Okay, I was waiting for you to go, okay, Sean, you're with me.
No. Sean is with Jon.
You're
Cody
such an
is with
idiot.
me. I listened today. I promise. I listened. All right, Cody, you get me. All right, you go with that?
Yeah.
All right,
That's what I wanted.
perfect. Hey, see, he wanted me.
Okay,
He
sure.
wanted me.
Yeah, I'd like to, Cody.
Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, guys, the coaches poll has been released for the upcoming college football season. John's been containing his excitement all day. Today's question: can you name any of the teams ranked in the top 10 on this year's preseason coaches poll? So we're
Okay.
looking for top 10 teams in the preseason coaches poll.
Okay, so Cody is up first.
Cody's up first.
Cody, what is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline, which is me, if you choose to use it.
All right, I'm going to start with Alabama.
It's a pretty good guess.
They're inside the top 10 this year. Wow.
Shocker. When's the last time they weren't inside the top
It's been a
10?
while. Pre-Saban, maybe, or his first year.
Has to be pre-Saban. Sean, you're up next. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I will say Clemson.
Clemson, top
Clemson.
10? They are.
On the list. Cody, back to you. What is your second guess? And you do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Okay. Let's use a lifeline then.
Lifeline?
All right, lifeline it is.
All right. Georgia. Will you take it?
Yep.
That's on the list. I think they're ranked number 1, right? The AP number
Well,
1?
they've won
Yes.
the last 2 national championships.
They have to be AP number 1.
This is coach's poll. AP poll's not even out.
Sorry, coaches poll,
Yeah.
whatever. Sean, you're up next. What is your second guess? And you do still have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I will say lifeline.
Lifeline.
All right, lifeline. There's a couple of layups. I will give you USC. Do you take that?
Sure.
On the list. All right. No more lifelines for either of our
No more
contestants. No more
lifelines.
lifelines. So it's up to them. Cody, your final guess. What do you got? You don't have a lifeline.
How about Ohio State?
Usually
Ohio
a safe
State.
bet.
On the list, 3
Another
for
team
3.
that's always in the top 10.
All right. Sean, you need this to send this thing to overtime. What is your final guess? You don't have your lifeline.
Michigan.
Michigan.
Are they in the top 10? They
On
are.
the list in the top 10. Brent, did we miss anybody? We obviously did.
Well, yeah, because there's 10 teams in the top 10. You idiot. Hey, in our 6 guest
Math,
game,
folks, it's
did
not
we
good
miss
for
any?
everybody.
Did we miss anybody on our top 10 list when only 6 were guessed?
Hey, Brent. First of all,
No, you got them all, Jim.
Okay. Who'd we miss?
Do you want to do this now or you want to do overtime first?
we're going to do overtime first, like we always
Let's
do.
do
Jim is
overtime
so
first.
flustered.
I'm so flustered.
All right, guys, since we're tied, we're going to go into overtime. How overtime is going to work is I'm going to ask you a question. At the end of me asking the question, you're going to yell at the name of your partner, not the answer. So you yell at the name of whoever your partner was today. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you will either win the game by getting the question right or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. You guys got it?
Yes.
Okay, today's overtime question. Who do the Aztecs play in its opener?
John.
I heard John.
All right, Sean, what do you have?
They play Ohio.
Ohio is
Ohio.
correct for the win. How about that?
I was ready for him to say they play LSU.
But I know everyone's been so confident with their tiebreaker
Yeah.
answers, and they've all been dead wrong recently.
They're like Cal.
Yeah. Alabama. No.
No.
They play the Packers.
Well, that was very well done.
Play the
Okay.
Packers.
I could have seen it. Okay. Congratulations, by the way, to Sean. You've won a pair of tickets. See Dirk Bentley. This is at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 18th. More info at Ticketmaster.com. Now, Brent, did we miss anyone in the top 10 with our 6 answers?
Okay, we missed a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, how about 4?
How about 4 of them?
Okay.
Math.
Georgia's number 1, Michigan 2, Bama's 3, Ohio State's 4, LSU, nobody said them, they're 5, USC is 6, John's Nittany Lions are 7, Florida State is 8, Clemson is 9, and you guys want to guess what the final one was? I'll give you a hint. They wear orange.
You already said Clemson,
I said
obviously?
Clemson.
I'm surprised John didn't say it instantly.
Orange.
It's not Oregon State in the top 10.
It's
Oregon State?
No,
No, they're top 25. They wear orange.
I think orange, and they have an alumni that has a huge forehead.
Oh, I don't know.
Wait, orange?
Orange.
Yes, orange.
All I'm thinking of is Syracuse. I'm
Yeah,
like,
me
they're
too.
not top 10.
Clemson, Syracuse, Oregon State, orange and black.
Huge forehead. Who has a huge forehead?
He played quarterback for them.
Oh, Peyton Man, Tennessee.
Thank you,
Tennessee,
yes.
top 10. Man, they'd fallen off the map.
Soon as
No,
they're
they've
qu-
been good.
It was like a
They fell
process
so
of
far off the
elimination.
map. John forgot that they were.
I
orange.
completely had forgotten about them.
Completely.
I completely forgotten about them. All right, congratulations, Sean. Again, you've won those 2 tickets. See Dirk Bentley, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Next hour, we've got Smashing Pumpkins tickets to give away again. We've got Smack tickets to give away. So be with us in the
Smack?
5 o'clock hour. Godsmack?
Oh, Godsmack.
Please help me. On the other side of this break,
Smacked.
I'm not sure how long this show is
I
going to
think
last.
you might need a smack.
Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. It could be the final day of the show, to be honest.
Probably.
Okay, on the other side, Aaron Goldsmith, radio voice of the Mariners, former colleague of mine in AAA in the International League. He's in Seattle. I'm with Jim.
You were in minors?
I was. Aaron Goldsmith will join us on the other side. He'll preview this Padres Mariners series. Ryan Lindley, OC, offensive coordinator for San Diego State, off the practice field. He will join us at 5:30. We should be back with hour 3 up next on Jon and Jim. San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 3 of Jon and Jim. Big hour in store for you. We're going to catch you up momentarily with Aaron Goldsmith, radio voice of the Mariners. Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, will join us at 5:30. We have ticket giveaways for you as well, including tickets to see the Smashing Pumpkins this Thursday at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll give those away this segment, so be listening. We'll give those away before our next break. More info at Ticketmaster.com. It's always great to connect with Aaron Goldsmith. Now, the Padres and Mariners have seen a lot of each other the last 4 or 5 years. Now, of course, with the universal schedule, Padres and Mariners are going to play every single year. So, Aaron, we appreciate your time here in San Diego. I want to start with this because it's been a very nice year for Seattle overall. They're playing good baseball at 60 and 52. Is it frustrating, either from the team perspective or even your seat, when you look at the NL wild card? Padres are 4 games out. They're 55 and 58. The Mariners are 8 games over 500. They're 3 games out. What do you make of the discrepancy right now between the leagues?
Yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't necessarily thought of that before, but I think we've been pretty wrapped up in the Blue Jays and the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Astros and kind of the Angels until recently, the teams that have been hovering around the Mariners. But I'm sure my guess would be that if you looked at that year by year over the course of the last decade or so, this is probably nothing all that abnormal of things that might happen year in and year out in the 2 different leagues. But the Mariners, these are 2 teams, and the Mariners that for a lot of this season have probably been lumped in the conversation of most disappointing teams in baseball, and yet both teams are both very much in it right now.
Have you watched the Padres? I would put them at the top of the list as far as most disappointing teams.
You say that, but then there's the Mets.
That's true. The Mets too. The Mets too.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, Aaron, and I don't know how much Padres baseball you've seen this year, are you surprised by how the Padres have struggled this year with really knock on wood here, significant injuries throughout the entire season? I know Musgrove's out right now, but how do you view this Padres season so far?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think when you put together that kind of a roster, you're thinking this team is going to be in the neighborhood of 100 wins, right? Or something around that. But yes, I think it has certainly been a disappointment. But to me, the 2 things, like when I think about the most disappointing teams in baseball this year, I have the Mets as the front runners there, just simply because they're the most expensive team ever fielded, right? And they have torn it down. And they haven't pitched especially well. If you want to put the Padres right there behind them as number 2, one thing the Padres can do, like the Mariners, they can pitch. If you have the Mariners in that conversation, the 4th team in my mind would be the Cardinals. The Cardinals have not pitched especially well this year. So it is interesting when you look at those 4 teams, the 2 teams that can't pitch have either torn it down or aren't in it at all. And the 2 teams that are still in it can pitch. The Mariners and the Padres have some similarities beyond that. I mean, when I look at the Padres offensively, it's not that this is now you guys might have a different viewpoint of it. You watch it every day, which can be a pro and a con. The Padres aren't a horrific offensive team. I mean, they do a lot of things well, and they do something better than the Mariners, certainly. They've been closer to an average offensive team, and that's been the Mariners' story this year as well. They haven't been a bad offensive club. They've just been average. They've been right around 15th, more or less, in about every category. And the reason why the Mariners are playing noticeably, significantly better since July 1st is not because the offense is now great. The offense is just now good. They've gone from average to good. They're now anywhere from 9th to 12th in most categories. And when you can pitch like the Mariners can, both on the rotation and in their bullpen, all of a sudden a good offense means that you rattle off 5 straight series wins against, by and large, really good teams, and you thrust yourself back in the playoff picture.
Well, that's an excellent point, and kind of on cue with my next question. By the way, Logan Gilbert, who pitches tonight for the Mariners, of course, has given Seattle a lot of chances to win the last couple of years. Aaron Goldsmith is with us right now. Padres-Mariners game 1 coming up at 6:40. I looked at July 1st as like a delineation mark. I look at Julio Rodriguez. I just look at his numbers overall, Aaron, and I haven't been watching all year. And I was surprised because the OPS numbers, everything's down from his rookie year. But since July 1st, he's been really good with an 864 OPS. So what is it about his play that's improved, the team's play that's improved, just the more months, or they were just due? Because the Padres are similar. I mean, really, since June 1st, July 1st, they've been a much better offensive team, San Diego.
I mean, I think the story offensively for the Mariners this year, if you look at it from, if you like reverse engineer this, if you have a team that is smoking hot for the first 2 or 3 months of the season offensively up and down the order, and you're saying nobody expected this team to be this good maybe at any point of the season, they're bound to regress, right? Like that's what everyone would say watching this mystery team that I'm referring to. Well, if you look at it the opposite way from the Mariners and you say, man, everything about this lineup made it seem like this should be a good lineup, somewhere between great and average, good, right? At some point, doesn't the good lineup have to show up? Don't they at some point stop being average? Well, that has happened now. Now, there's no guarantee that was going to happen, of course, but now you have multiple, and by multiple, I really mean more like 4 major bats in the order that are producing at by far their highest level of the season and by far their highest level of consistency of the season. Julio is one of them. Eugenio Suarez is another. He's been a major run producer for the Mariners. And I mean, you guys saw him in the National League for years with Cincinnati. He can thump. Cal Raleigh is now slugging. He's now doubling and homering. And J.P. Crawford at the top of the order, who has had by far his best offensive season. He's had his best stretch of his best offensive season in the big leagues really since the All-Star break. And then the kind of the complementary key for the Mariners is they have had multiple role players, platoon guys who aren't in there every day, who are, when they're in there, they are also really producing. The 2 bats they're waiting on, former Padre Ty France, who's had a down year for sure, and Teoscar Hernandez. If those 2 guys can get cooking at some point over the last couple of months, then the Mariners will really have something. But even without them playing to their normal productivity, this has been around a top 10 lineup for the last, since July 1st, last month and change.
And I was just about to ask about Ty France, coming from the Padres, San Diego State, he's had a down year compared to his last year. What's been the problem with Ty France's year this year? Because I feel like at the trade deadline, he was on like the trade block. There were some rumors out there that the Mariners potentially could trade Ty France. Well, what's been going on with his season?
Yeah, there was talk about that. I'm not sure. First of all, I don't know where the Mariners would have gone without Ty France. They don't have a in-house replacement unless they would have acquired something. And also Ty's, as we've kind of alluded to, Ty's value would be at its lowest ever, which is not ideal, of course, from a trading perspective. But for Ty, this is all last year and being the everyday number 3 hitter on a 90-win playoff team. And now for the last couple of weeks, I would say roughly at this point, he has been hitting 6th or 7th for the Mariners. He's been moved down in the lineup. And Ty's not a 30 home run guy necessarily, but he is a low to mid 20 home run guy. And we have not seen the ball in the air. We have not seen the pull power whatsoever, which he's not, again, he doesn't scream, I'm going to pull this ball at 110 off the bat, 450 feet. That's not his style. He's more of a hit it to all fields guy and hit for a high average with some 20 home run pops. But we haven't seen that this year. He was grounded into many, many double plays near the top of the order. It was really costing the Mariners at times. I think there's reason to believe that he still can be a productive player in this league, but for whatever reason this year, we haven't seen it consistently.
Aaron Goldsmith, radio voice for the Seattle Mariners, with us right now on Jon and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. Aaron, what's been the reaction of the fan base to what was a quiet trade deadline, right, for Seattle?
Yeah, it was strange. I think there was kind of some mixed feelings going into the deadline as to what the Mariners should do. I mean, the Mariners' playoff odds going into deadline day, I would kind of roughly put it at, I think Fangraphs had it in the neighborhood of maybe 15% or so. And so what do you go for it at that point? The Mariners were one of probably the low double-digit teams that were in these really murky waters of what they should do. Should they trade Teoscar Hernandez, who's a free agent this season? We talked about Ty France. Tom Murphy is their backup catcher who's been smoking hot recently. Trade him, who's his contract up at the end of this season. They end up trading Paul Sewald, but they feel like the depth in their bullpen is enough to cover the loss of a really, really productive closer for a number of years for the Mariners. And in return, they get a couple of guys that fill some holes for them. They have a new platoon now at second base, Josh Rojas, who was acquired on that deal, and Dom Canzone, you all might have seen play a little bit more than us, being in the division with the Diamondbacks. The Mariners needed some left-handed bat. They needed some coverage in right field as well. I think Canzone is able to fill that. So does that make the Mariners better this year? Possibly. You can't pull field out of your bullpen and say your bullpen's better, but your lineup now can be more balanced. We have seen that. Now, Canzone's a rookie. He played in fewer than 50 big league games. I don't know how much you can realistically expect for him to make a major impact for this team. But to me, that was more of they feel like this move made them better in the long term. It possibly makes them better in the short term as well, depending on the production of those two left-handed hitters for the rest of the season.
Aaron, real quick before you go, because you're a fellow big league broadcaster, and I'm sure you've been asked about it. You're going to be asked again. I need your reaction. I don't know. Were you in the International League when you know Kevin because of Baltimore? So the Kevin Brown, whatever it was, suspension or not, taken off the air for what he said in an open to a TV broadcast. I mean, we've discussed it at length the last couple of days here in San Diego. As a fellow broadcaster, what's your reaction to what's happened with Kevin?
I did cross over with Kevin in the minors for a year, and I've known Kevin since 2012 in that regard. And Kevin is one of the most talented broadcasters in Major League Baseball, regardless of service time. And it's appalling. I still, every time I watch that video, and like all of us, I've watched it many times, I still can't figure out what the problem is.
Right.
To me, it's the repulsive thing about it is you have ownership who, for consecutive seasons, runs out the lowest payroll in baseball, with the exception of the Oakland Athletics. With no surprise, they get whacked by a really good Rays team when they are on the road in particular, which is what that graphic was about at Tropicana Field. Then you have a broadcaster who is simply stating the fact of the results of a bad team in previous years, going up against a really good team, and what those results are. First of all, if you don't like those results, you should spend more than $65 million on your payroll. That's embarrassing. Now, it worked out this year because obviously they have more prospects than anyone, and all worked out, which is great for the Orioles. And they shouldn't be criticized for that. They've drafted and developed exceptionally well, better than essentially anyone in a short period of time. But then to punish a broadcaster for, first of all, reading a produced graphic, that means that the producer orchestrated this. He should have. It was the right thing to do. Our graphics coordinator made it. This is a team effort to put that graphic up there. And then, as we've all read, also, it was in the Orioles game notes. So the PR staff should be suspended as well. I mean, you got a lot of people that you should be slapping on the wrist for this, not the mouthpiece who they're not going to rant, didn't editorialize this, didn't sprinkle any salt and pepper on it to give it further color. He just simply stated the fact. And then buttress the point of how good the Orioles are this year, that they played so well, like a team that continues to be very good.
Right.
Great. The whole thing's a joke. It's a complete joke. And the Orioles are coming to town after the Padres this year, and I certainly am anticipating that we see Kevin Brown on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, and we hope to see him. I hope to see him in San Diego, because after Seattle, they'll be in San Diego. The whole thing, you said it perfectly. I mean, it's laughable, and that's why it's gotten so much interest regionally, nationally. It's just been absurd. Aaron, we always appreciate it. We know you have a game to call. Thank you for doing it today in San Diego. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Aaron.
You got it, guys. We'll talk to you.
All right, Mariners play-by-play voice Aaron Goldsmith. We'll talk to him during the World Series for the Padres Mariners series this year.
Yeah, of course.
We'll make sure to catch up with him before game one. That would be right now, I guess it would be in Seattle. They have the better record.
It would be in Seattle. Yeah,
game one.
Yeah, so
maybe we'll be there.
Yeah, they didn't do the winner of the All-Star game gets home field.
The Vetter Cup just got real.
Right. Yeah, Vetter Cup World Series.
So he's mad as a fellow. And again, I'm a play-by-play guy. I worked with Aaron. I work with Kevin. It's pretty much insanity.
It is.
It is. And by the way, that's why the story has gotten so much traction. And if he did something wrong, okay, guys have been suspended. We've seen it.
Right.
But to be like, hey, they haven't won a series in Tampa since 2017. Oh, you're off the air. How could you say that? Because it's the truth.
It's crazy because this was like people were wondering why he was off the air. And then they went back and were like, okay, this was the last time he was on air.
That's some interesting deducing, though, isn't it? Like somebody had to have gotten like a nibble of information, maybe from television, right? Like, how do you put two and two together? What he said, Jim, isn't egregious.
No, not even close.
Isn't unfair.
The last time
that was July 23rd. but he may have been on the air through July 26th. But that was July 23rd.
So it's 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's still not going to be on the air until the Mariners series this weekend, after this Padres series,
And
August 11th.
And Awful Announcing is the first site that I saw.
Fully pick up on it, yeah.
And I'm sure there were also other reporting, because this was reported on like Britt Giroli and Awful Announcing.
But I think after
the fact, like it's okay, this is what happened. It wasn't like a conspiracy, like, oh, maybe this is why he got taken off air. No, it was reported that he got suspended for those. I'm not even going to say remarks. I'm just going to say like doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
He got suspended for doing his job, which is ridiculous. I don't know Kevin, like you know him, but
we've had him on. He's been on with us. He's a great guy. I mean,
because he got the job recently, as far as like
2019. He then shifted. He's become like their primary TV voice over the last year or two.
Man, I'm just glad that it did not happen here.
Well, can you imagine the absurdity? Let's use Orsillo for a second.
Or Mud.
Imagine this. Imagine they open the broadcast being like, Padres in LA. I'm making it up. The Padres haven't won a series in LA since 2019.
Yeah,
just say it.
And then it's like, boom.
Coming up next, but a chance to win it. It's game 3 of a 3-game set. Rubber match. A chance for the first series win since 2019 at Dodger Stadium. Suspended. But that's the truth.
I know. That's exactly what happened.
It's like we always used to say when I worked in the minor leagues, they're like, well, how do you make sure to be fair and not be like overly critical? I say, listen, facts are facts. If a player is 0 for his last 30, just say that. You don't have to be like, hey, this guy's really struggling. He's been awful. He's 0 for his last 30. If you go on the air and say, hey, he's 0 for his last 30.
Yeah. And there's ways, and especially if you want to criticize somebody, but you're a part of either the team broadcast or like you're on a flag, like if you are tied directly to that team,
sure,
and the team is not doing well or players aren't doing well, there's ways to go about it that are completely fair. Like, hey, even Xander Bogaerts would tell you he's having a really bad year.
Exactly.
That's exactly
right.
Things like that.
That's exactly right.
And by the way, Xander Bogaerts has said, like, he's played like crap. So it's then fair game to say, well, Xander Bogaerts says he's played like crap. And he would even let you know, which he did, that he's not doing well this year.
Well, it doesn't help either that Baltimore is relevant for the first time since Cal Ripken Jr.
Yep.
And now this is overshadowing everyone
Dude.
or everything. Because even people that didn't know that Baltimore's had, this big comeback for their franchise, now they don't care about that because they're just like, oh, yeah, that dude fired him over just stating a fact.
And if you're Kevin, it's like, here's the thing. First of all, everyone's going to be talking to you about this for the rest of the year, but you get back on air. And here's the thing. There's like other fans might be rooting against the Orioles. Like if they go in the tank, they'll be like, haha, they did that to themselves. But Kevin doesn't want that.
No.
He is such an unintended consequence of this entire mess.
I know.
And how do you address it on air?
Right. Oh, sorry, guys.
Hey, I'm back for the first time in 18 days.
We've seen broadcasters as recently as this year with other teams, like, do things that are easily noticeable as far as, oh, that's not good. That person's going to get suspended, and then they end up getting fired, or they say remarks, hot mic situations, which is like the number one fear in every broadcaster's mind is a hot mic. But like, this is like, you can't even point to that. You have to literally say to people asking you what happened. Well, I got suspended for doing my job. Like what?
Yeah, it's insanity. Can we get back to Padres and Mariners, by the way?
Yeah.
And Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, will join us in about 10 minutes. Interesting text off the text line. I think it's very fair. 70470 started with team. 815 says, can you guys comment on how Xander is in the 5-hole again when he is killing this offense, killing in all caps? Sick of it. We've gone through this. You brought up the point. 2 RBIs in his last month. I don't know what you're changing. I mean, Soto's been Soto. Kim's been Kim. I think Tatis, you're counting on just getting out of it. So I don't know you could slide him down, certainly. You could slide him down, absolutely. But do you just hit your way out of it when you've had a year in which you haven't come through with men in scoring position all year long?
I agree with 858 number here, and you got to move him out of the 5-hole. Now, is it like severely affecting you that he's there? It's not severely affecting you, but it is. He leads the league in grounded in double plays. Okay. He has 2 RBIs in the last month. He has 1 home run since the beginning of July. It's a train wreck. It's a disaster this year for Xander Bogaerts. So if anything, I'm moving like Gary Sanchez or Luis Campusano up into the 5 spot, and I'm moving him down to like 7th or 8th. And it has to happen. And this goes back to, and I hope this isn't the case, but it goes back to the comments made by Joe about egos. And we heard a lot about the beginning of the year, people not being comfortable with where they're hitting in the lineup. I don't know where Xander hit in Boston. I think it was probably 3rd or 4th, or had to be in the middle of the order.
No doubt.
I don't know if this is a case of like, this is where the ego's playing into factor. Like Xander stated, like, if you're not going to hit me 3rd or 4th or 2nd, you have to put me in the middle of the lineup. I don't know if that's the case.
You're saying you're theorizing?
I'm theorizing.
By the way, his career, he's batted 3rd more than any other spot. He's batted 4th more than any other spot other than 3rd. Okay. So he's batted 3rd primarily, cleanup a lot, and then 2nd and 5th. And a lot of the 5th is this year.
Yeah. So maybe that is a thing that's happening. And I hope that's not the case, because I view Xander Bogaerts as a good clubhouse guy. I view him as a leader. He's just not having a good year at all. A stand-up guy. He's going to tell you the truth. There's a reason why Boston won 2 World Series, and he was the captain he's the captain of that team. And now he comes here and there's like a problem. I don't know. It's just it's a bad season for him. Hopefully the last month and a half is better for him, because if it's not, and you go in the end of the year and we look up and Xander Bogaerts has like 45 RBIs on the season with like 12 home runs. Oh my God.
Bad year to have bad year when the team isn't playing well. On the other side, off the practice field, Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator. We are just over 2 weeks out. FanFest is Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. How is Jalen Maiden look? San Diego State's quarterback, Ryan Lindley, the Aztec for life. He'll join us next. Diego State is getting off the practice field momentarily. We hope to be joined by Ryan Lindley in a second. One quick note on Ethan Salas. What you just said is incredible. He was born June 1st, 2006.
Ridiculous.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing. And we'll see what comes from here. Obviously, there's work to be done, but what he's done to this point is truly incredible. It really is. I mean, for advanced A baseball, he's only a couple of stops away.
He's got like 836 OPS in low A, and now he's up at high A with like some legit talent.
It's been an amazing story. Ethan Salas in the minors for the Padres. Let's switch gears. We're excited for Saturday. We're broadcasting live from FanFest from 4 to 6. We've been telling you about that before the scrimmage starts at 6. Make sure to get there. Snapdragon Stadium. Get your first look at the Aztecs. We're just over 2 weeks away. Tickets are free for FanFest. All you need to do is get them at goaztecs.com, but they are free. And it's our pleasure to always connect here with Ryan Lindley, San Diego State's offensive coordinator, back with us on Jon and Jim right off the practice field. So, Ryan, we appreciate it. We know it's super busy. You're a couple of weeks out. How are you feeling about what you've seen so far over the first week plus of your team during fall camp and of this offense?
Yeah, I mean, the most exciting thing is you can tell that our kids have bought in this summer. All those workouts are player-led. We're not out there. We're not getting the same work in with them that we can get in the spring and here in fall camp. So, part of you almost expects a little bit of a letdown from spring. And I really think our guys have kind of left off, or at least started where they left off. I don't think we've had much of a dip. I think guys are bought in. You can tell they worked at the stuff we wanted them to work on and have made some improvements and have worked their way throughout the summer. And it's been great to see how they're working. I know this. I can't complain any about the energy. I think our guys give great effort, and that's built into our culture. But we're chipping away, and I like where we're headed.
And Ryan, I think every Aztecs fan wants to know right off the bat here, of course, how has Jalen looked so far in camp? He is the guy. That's what Hoke said. Like, he's the guy in camp. He is the number one QB. How has he looked so far?
And he leads the charge, and we tell him that. I mean, obviously at the quarterback position, you're a lot of those leadership responsibilities are thrust upon you. And that's probably what I've been most impressed with, because those player-led workouts, I mean, that's him doing it. That's him getting receivers together and tight ends together and guys working to throw together and making sure the linemen are getting out there and working out. And obviously there's a great group of guys in that group stepping up as leaders too. But you can tell, I think he wasn't happy with how he finished spring off. And it motivated him, because he definitely he's one of the main guys I think of when there was, we sat down and we have our exit interviews in the spring, and we had a list of things that we told Moose he needed to work on, and he came back improved from all those areas. We're going to get as many live reps and good reps from him as we can to kind of bridge that gap with some reps that he probably missed over the past year here. But he's taking it by the horns, and I'm really happy with how he's opened up camp for us.
Ryan Lindley back with us here, Jon and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. Again, the Aztecs offensive coordinator. FanFest Saturday at 6 p.m. Snapdragon Stadium. Free tickets available. You need to grab them at goaztecs.com. Now, we asked you about this, I think maybe during media days when we were in Vegas and you called in, just about replacing guys like Jesse Matthews and Tyrell Shavers and how to go about that. But it's not just with your receivers, right? I mean, you got a lot back at tight end. So what role are these tight ends going to play? And also some of these newcomers at receiver as you try to make up some of that production from a year ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when you look at where the game's trending, I'm not glorifying anything, but you look at a Deebo Samuel, Travis Kelce's a tight end, but he's a wide receiver. The amount of times he's got his hand in the ground, the multiplicity of where guys can play, and I've kind of used the term, and it's not mine. I think I got it from Daniel Jeremiah, a San Diego guy. That you want to have as many positionless players as you can. So I think for us, we want to move guys around, be as multiple as we can, line up in different formations and different personnel groups, and that's the biggest thing I think our guys have bought into. The backs have done a great job catching the ball in the backfield. The tight ends, like you said, have stepped up as well. And, we've told the receivers that it's open season, man. I mean, someone's got to step up and still be that guy, because those guys are going to line up out on the edge every time. And, it's been really fun to see. Obviously, Mekhi Shaw has kind of stepped up. He's almost an elder statesman in there. There isn't really a true senior, but obviously a local guy who earned himself a scholarship last year, had a great season. He's playing really well. Breon Penny has made some strides. We still want to see him be a little bit more consistent, but it's been really fun seeing him grow, and he's really bought into taking over in that room too. So It's a lot of fun. I mean, I got to be honest with you. It's tough to pick out a guy right now, and that's not just me pulling off some gamesmanship to save it for Ohio. I mean, it's really, I'm waiting to see in the next 2 weeks who steps up and wants to be a playmaker for us.
And for you, Ryan, this is your first camp or any type of camp in football where you're the offensive coordinator for a Division I school. And so for you, how has it been? And has there been like a little bit of a learning curve? Has there been times where like, oh, I'm glad I figured that out so I don't make that mistake again? And how has it just gone for you so far being the offensive coordinator for the first time?
Yeah, I think there's some things that you're gonna have to learn on the fly, but I honestly consider myself extremely fortunate. A lot of people that have poured into me that I can reach out to have helped me out, and really on a day-to-day basis. I share a wall with Kurt Maddox, who to me is one of the greatest coordinators on the West Coast, offense or defense. He's obviously done a heck of a job with the defense since he got here. And he and I have really, really formed a pretty close friendship where I can lean on him. I think sometimes in this business, unfortunately, and in any business, it's hard to trust the coworker in fear of you looking vulnerable or weak. And my biggest thing is I'll tell him. I think he does. He's done it for a long time. He's done it really well. If there's things that I think I want to take from the way he runs a meeting or does different things, I don't think that's being weak. I think it's just being smart. I want to steal a rep from Kurt and what he's done with the defense. He's obviously kept the phenomenal culture going on defense and found a way to make his own wrinkle and make it his own. So I'm really lucky to be where I'm at. And obviously Coach Hoke, I played for him, so he's still got that in him. He'll definitely tell me when he thinks I'm turning astray, and he'll set me on the right path if he sees it. So it's a great environment here. Obviously, like you said, yeah, it's the first go round for me here in camp, but I'm in as good a situation as you could find the guy in his first year in a coordinator position.
Ryan Lindley with us right now, Jon and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. So I want to say Brady said to us at some point this offseason, you know what, getting into Snapdragon Stadium just one time last year in the preseason probably wasn't the right way to attack it into that opener against Arizona, all the, everything that goes into it. It's a brand new stadium. So you guys are going to be scrimmaging at Snapdragon Stadium on Saturday. Like what changes for the guys? You get into the stadium, the lights are brighter, there's fans in the stands. Like, what do you hope them to take advantage of with this opportunity a couple of weeks out from playing for real at Snapdragon Stadium?
No, absolutely. I mean, for us, it's a different locker room. So obviously getting, you're used to every day being in our facility and walking down the same steps to our practice field, and a routine begins to develop, and we'd like our guys, especially our young guys or our transfers, that it's going to be day one getting in that sweet locker room down there at Snapdragon. So they need to understand what that routine is going to feel like, and we'll do everything we can to make it as much like a game day of them getting prepped and getting ready, and then let them cut it loose. And the fun thing is, I think obviously Fan Fest, it's great to get everybody out, and we're going to see everybody play. We're going to let our guys cut it loose. Obviously, the guys are going to compete and play hard, but we're definitely going to see what kind of depth we have too, and show us what kind of team we have not only today but going forward.
I got this question off of Twitter from Matt. He wants to ask you, are we going to see more fullback sets? What differences should we expect from the offense in 2023?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's almost game by game. It's such a unique spot now. It's hard to find teams where you get a good beat on what a team's going to do to a fullback as far as personnel goes or how they'll react. But we got two great guys competing right now, and Nick Gardner and Leo Kemp, freshman we brought in, and Nick's a local kid. They've been both doing a great job. And there's a solid package that we've got in for them, and they've been doing a heck of a job. I really look at those guys too. It's been fun to see over time. I mean, I played with the guy Chad Young, and it's been like there's been a different guy every 4 years who's almost, I say the fullback has been like the offensive generational mascot here for the last 12 years in San Diego State. So these two guys get an opportunity to carry that torch, and they don't disappoint, man. They bring a heavy load and are ready to shorten somebody's neck. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Ryan, we appreciate it. We're excited for Saturday. Aztec fans are, I know that. Fan Fest Saturday at 6. Tickets free. You can grab them at goaztecs.com. We'll be on the air from 4 to 6. Getting you ready. Ryan Lindley, thank you. We look forward to seeing you this weekend. Thanks for doing it.
No, I love getting on with you guys. I appreciate you having me. See you soon.
All right. Again, Ryan Lindley, we do appreciate his time. Again, it's busy. They're right off the practice field. The thing that I'm really excited about, we'll get to Jim's back page in a moment. And we have tickets to give away, by the way.
We have so many tickets.
We have tickets to give away. We'll do
so many freaking tickets.
The thing I'm excited about is like Ryan Lindley calling plays.
I know.
That's super. We really don't know what to expect from the offense.
We don't.
Which is exciting. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I want to temper like expectations.
Sure.
Because you have a first-time offensive coordinator, as much as we like Ryan. You have Jalen Maiden now coming off of a full offseason to prepare. Can he bounce back from the end of his season? You have a lot of new weapons and pieces on offense. So maybe temper expectations. Like, this isn't going to be the 2000 Rams, like the best show on turf.
No, maybe a little better.
But like what? It's like last year's Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
as long as it's last year's Chiefs, they'll be fine.
It's fine. Yeah,
exactly.
As I do want to see them, and I am going to temper my expectations.
I'm just
until
excited
it
to
happens.
see. It's crazy. It's just over 2 weeks out.
I know.
Hopefully, we'll see you at FanFest on Saturday. Call right now. Caller 5. You've got 2 free tickets to the Smashing Pumpkins, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's this Thursday, like 2 days from now. More info at Ticketmaster.com. 844-570-1360. 2 free tickets to caller 5 to see the Smashing Pumpkins at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. 844-570-1360. Call right now. Jim's Backpage. That's next. Caller 3. You've got 2 free tickets to see Godsmack at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 27th. More info at Ticketmaster.com. Caller 3, 2 free tickets to see Godsmack at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 27th. 844-570-1360. By the way, all week long, we've got great ticket giveaways for you. So this is where you want to be. Turn your mic on, you idiot.
Idiot.
You always say that. It's not me saying that. I feel bad. 844-570-1360. If you want free tickets to see Godsmack, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, call right now. 844-570-1360. Now, before we get to the back page, you wanted to mention what's been going on today on YouTube, but I want Brent to hit the you want to hit the back page? Because you're about to take these calls, right?
Yeah.
Hit it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're just joining us on the radio side, on San Diego Sports 760, and you have no idea what the hell is happening today, we have launched the Jon and Jim show on YouTube. So now you can watch us and listen to us there. You can listen to us multiple places now on the radio, the iHeartRadio app, YouTube. We're everywhere now. So if you haven't already, go to our YouTube page. Just go to YouTube, search out Jon and Jim 760, or go to Twitter. There's a link there. And subscribe, and you can watch us every day. So
Here's the
there you
deal.
go.
I'm not doing this again tomorrow if we don't get to 300 subscribers today.
You're quitting.
And we're at 286. So if you wouldn't mind going over there to YouTube, finding Jon and Jim, subscribe. We'll be doing this every single day that Jim is here.
That I'm here.
I'll have to figure it out when Jim isn't here, and that scares me. But every day Jim's here, we're doing this.
I just have to like baby step you and walk you through the process of doing this stuff. Do you think you can do it?
Yes, I do.
No,
I do.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I have faith. All right, what do you have for the back page today?
So the lottery, John, the Mega Millions.
My mom's talking about this.
Of course she is, because guess what? It is the 3rd largest jackpot in U.S. history now.
Which is how many dollars?
$1.55 billion.
But after taxes, it's like, is it even anything? It's like, it's only like 800 million.
Yeah.
700 million.
Who cares? 800 million doesn't matter.
Dude, let's walk through it like we okay, you win 1.55 bill. Are you getting in the sports game? Are you getting in the ownership game?
No.
Not like full ownership, but like 2% here, 3% there.
If I won the lottery, John, I wouldn't leave. I'm sorry.
But what are you gonna do though? Okay, if you had $1 billion, what are you gonna do? Buy cars?
No. Actually, I would still do this because I love this. I love talking sports every day. But my like stress level on life would be like zero. I'd be walking in here.
Though, man, does money buy that?
I would be walking in here with new Vuori clothes every day.
Every day,
I'd be walking in here with new Ray-Bans every day. I would have like the best equipment possible. I would buy us all new microphones.
Doing live streams,
right? I would literally hire someone to do the live stream for us. I would have like $1,000 cameras.
You hear that, Ben Fadden? Job is on the line.
Yeah. So if I win, Ben, you're hired. But yeah, I would completely just come in. Not carry free. What is
Worry
it?
free?
Worry free.
What's carry free?
I was thinking like not a care in the world, and then I put
carry free,
and then I put worry and like
carry free.
Yeah, carry free.
All right, 1.55 billion. Yeah, but what if it's split multiple ways, and then you only win 750 million?
I'm still good with that.
You're good with it, okay?
I would give you $1 million. I'd give Brent $1 million.
Mark the tape.
Yeah, it's on video now too.
Mark that.
John, tomorrow, actually not tomorrow, today. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Today's National Spam Day. Did you know that?
National Spam Day. Like spam, like a chat, or like spam the food?
As in the delicious Hawaiian treat or the annoying emails?
Right.
No, the delicious Hawaiian treat.
Okay, spam.
Okay,
yeah.
I like that. I like spam.
Now it's not just National Spam Day, it's National Spam Musubi Day.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Basically it looks like a sushi roll. So it's rice. I think it's rice.
With spam in it?
Rice and then spam on top, wrapped in nori.
Can I say? Oh man.
What's nori?
Yeah, what's nori?
Like the stuff that's wrapped the sushi roll.
Oh, I thought that was seaweed. Is that what you're talking about? The green part?
Yeah.
It's not seaweed?
Well, I guess it's seaweed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. L&L.
Way to doll it up.
Exactly. L&L Hawaiian Barbecue will be giving away free spam musubi like items.
Are you saying that right?
Probably not.
Okay.
today, if you download the Hawaiian barbecue app, the L&L Hawaiian barbecue app, you can get them at any L&L location, and you get a free musubi. I'm probably butchering that.
I think you are.
So hard.
I think you are.
So sorry. National Spam Day. I'm sorry for that. And finally, a famous ramen restaurant from Japan.
Yeah.
Ramen Nagai.
Now, I love ramen.
Is making its way to San Diego. It is opening up its first San Diego location today at the Westfield UTC.
Westfield UTC.
So
the mall of UTC.
Yeah. So I love ramen.
I do too.
Ramen
Let's go.
is fantastic.
Let's stream it. Me and you.
Okay. So yeah, you can go there now. It's opened up today.
Dude.
The famous ramen restaurant, Ramen Nagai.
Are there a lot of these in the U.S. or
Japan? It's famous.
But
for
I'm saying, are there other locations in the U.S.?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, or YouTube. Please follow us on social media at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. By the way, tomorrow, JD Wicker joins the show. San Diego State's athletic director will join us at 5 p.m. We're back tomorrow at 3. Everywhere, you'll find us somewhere. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. It's the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay.